Well, we have blasted through release candidate 1. We are now on release candidate 2 for 1.18. And look at me, the night mask is still there, but my night mask vision is not. I've just tested this at night. So I think what we will do is to take off the night mask. It's a very strange thing. When I upgraded to release candidate 2, the base return teleporter has gone to just a blank sheet. So I'm not sure whether that's glitched or whether it's okay, but that is an issue as far as I think. This is my chest for random objects. Now, let's pop that in there. I am testing again what you can do. These 3 items are just not behaving in the same way most items will. Right, we can put this down, we can take it up. This one we can't put down. This one, the ore, we can now put down and we can take it up. The odd thing is that I'm also trying to see whether they work on tool racks. The ore, that looks good. That works on a tool rack. The tongs don't, and the net doesn't. So it's all slightly random. Somebody needs to just get all this lot in order, but at least the ore is there, which is fantastic. Let's pop these tongs back in. The other helpful thing is that we now know that we need tongs if the temperature of any metal is above 300 degrees. That's helpful because it gives us a guidance. So the knife has been fixed. Let's have a look. There we go. I must have an odd, yeah. And that now gives 1 peridotite knife I had already. Let's not get confused. This, it now gives 1 knife blade. That's right. Let's get this on it. That's lovely. Okay. So this knife, yeah, that had all the durability had already got up to 112. That's fine. That's a lot better. And if you put a bone handle on, it goes up to 137. It just shows the difference, doesn't it? So that's worth doing. So that is all fixed. Brilliant. The other 2 issues are fairly major ones in terms of world generation, in that we now have seawater. So we've got salt water added where oceans appear, and it means that the crops on the farmland will die with exposure to seawater. Now I needed to create a new world to test that, and it took me several worlds before I got seawater. Let me show you what happened when I got seawater. I believe that I have managed to find a world with some seawater. Can you see in this area there is the lighter look and the darker look? I think this is seawater and this is not. Let's come out of this. I just need to go north. Right, I want to head for the area over here where I can see this difference in the water. Now, I don't know which is sea and which is not, but I know that we can't farm in seawater. Now, as far as I can tell, there's nothing to tell me apart from the colour which block is which. So can we see this divide here? Let's have a little look. Let's go over there. There is definitely a divide between these waters. And all I can get the blocks underneath, but not the actual water block. So, how do we tell whether we've got seawater or normal water? The divide is coming right here. So what I think I'll do is let's take some high fertility soil. Let's take a hoe and see if it shows up when you try to farm, because I know you can't farm seawater. So if we are over here and we place that down, moist farmland, high fertility. Now this should be a different type. Moist farmland, high fertility. So this is not the difference. There's nothing here to indicate that either one of these waters is not the same. So let's get a bucket. In fact, let's get 2 or 3. So if I grab a bucket of this, 10 litres of water, all right? And if I grab a bucket of this, look at this, game in container items saltwater portion. Right, so in fact, the lighter one is not salt water. That's ordinary water. If we look at this, that was 10 litres of water, but the other one is salt water. So this huge area here, onto the left of this line, is obviously salt water, whereas the one to the right is fresh water. But the game shows that you can. It says moisture 100%, moist farmland. It doesn't say you can't farm there. So if we get, let's get some seeds. Let's get flax, why not? Okay, so if I want to plant a flax seed here, growing flax, no difference at all. It's quite happy to grow in the salt water. Growing flax, nutrient levels 65, 65, 65, growth speed 109, growth speed 109, 65, 65, 65. I don't see any difference. So the game recognizes a difference between this water, which is the salt water, but you're not supposed to be able to farm in salt water. I suspect, let's come up here. Yeah, I suspect that this is work in progress. But what I have proved to myself is, if you look on the map, yeah, you can see the difference. And can you see here, this is farmable water, for want of a better word, farm nutrient water. And we can see another line here. So all this water would support farms. But theoretically, this darker line around here, and I'm hoping that you can see that difference on the screen. Can you see this line? I think that's where we're not going to be able to farm. So you could have, say, a spawn here and set up a farm, but if this is salt water, we won't be able to farm. We have to find fresh water. Wow. But at the moment, I think that's a work in progress, but a very interesting one. I'm always very aware of early game players, because when you're new to the game and you first start playing, it's very, very difficult. This is not an intuitive game. You need to watch videos, you need to learn, there needs to be guidance. If we are going to have salt water and ordinary sweet water, I would call it, I do think that when you put the farmland block down, something ought to indicate what type of water it is. You can't focus on the water blocks because they're transparent. So you can't tell, unless you look at the colour and you can see the difference, what is seawater and what is sweet water. Now, if you look behind me here, if I had generated here and there's no salt water to which to compare the colour of the water, then there'd be nothing to tell me whether it's sweet water or salt water. So something needs to be added, I think, to the farmland blocks so that the new players don't get totally dismayed as they try to farm and find that their crops die for no reason or for a reason that they hadn't appreciated. A couple of other things. There used to be a barren soil layer, which has now been replaced with low fertility soil. And do you remember my last video where I was saying I couldn't find Terra Preta? They said they'd fix that issue, and I decided to find out. Look at this world. Welcome to another new world, and I am immediately going to go into the creative mode. What a gorgeous world this has proved to be. Look at what I found here. I am going to, oh, hello, fly around straight away, and wow, look at this. This is one of those Gothic churches. The reason I've created yet another world is I just want to fly around and see whether I can see Terra Preta. Now there are two changes to the geological world generation, and that is that where they had a layer of barren soil, because if you look over here, they had layers of sort of barren soil, particularly around the tops of mountains, and it was very, very visible and noticeable. They've taken that out, and the barren soil has been replaced with low fertility soil, which I think looks a lot better. I thought the barren soil was a little bit stark, I think is the best word. Now what I want to do is to go down lower and see whether I can see Terra Preta. If you remember my last video, I had played quite a number of hours and I hadn't found Terra Preta, which I found slightly worrying. And indeed, one of the changes that these release candidates have made is that they say that Terra Preta is now spawning. What a miserable day. Let's see if we can... Oh, look at the little baby pigs. They're so gorgeous, aren't they? I have to say that having tried out a number of worlds, and I had to try quite a few to get the effect of the sea to show up, travelling around worlds is becoming one of my favourite things to do, flying around in creative. But I'm looking for Terra Preta at the moment. It's so tempting to collect, isn't it, when you see all these beautiful things? Come on, let's find some Terra Preta. I'm looking for it, and I think what I'll do... Can you see Terra Preta? I mean, you shouldn't find it that quickly, I know. I just want to know that it's there. Let's keep going north and see if we can... This looks like a good place to look. What a beautiful world I've generated here. Absolutely gorgeous. I do think this new world gen is lovely. Absolutely lovely. Let's try not to swoop too much. I don't want to... make you guys queasy. Medium fertility soil. I suppose what we need are plains. I keep looking for open spaces, but there aren't that many. Can I find any Terra Preta? We could just take them at their word, of course. That Terra Preta does exist. Oh, hello. You killed the rabbit. That's not very nice. I didn't know that bears ate rabbits. I suppose they do. Bears are so omnivorous, I expect they'd eat anything. course, you know what Terra Preta is like. Ah, aha, excellent. So basically, Terra Preta, point proven. We have Terra Preta. It does exist. I am very, very happy about that. Right, let me leave this world having proven that point. Brilliant. As far as I can see, the two world gen issues of replacing barren soil with low fertility soil and making sure that Terra Preta generates have been solved, which is very good. Now, when the 1.18 release is a little bit further along, I am going to start a new world, and I am going to move this base and show you how to move this base into that world. At the moment, I'm not inclined to start a new world for a very good reason. I know that the story dungeon is still work in progress. I generated a world in creative, and I tried for literally hours to find the entrance, and I was flying around. I wasn't doing it, on 2 feet, so to speak. But I could not find the entrance. The entrance is very, very subtle at the moment, and it can be very high on a mountain. I know that the entrance is being worked on, and I'm hoping they're going to make it a little bit more obvious, because at the moment you can get really hung up on not being able to find the entrance. When I start a new world, I believe that the study dungeon will generate as I generate the world. There will only ever be one per world. If I generate a new world now, I will be stuck with the study dungeon as it is today. What I want to do is to wait until the entrance is a little bit better and they're a little bit further along, and then I'm going to generate a new world and move into it. So I'm holding off to ensure that when I generate my next world, I will be able to find that study dungeon. So I'm looking forward to this update. I think there's so much in it that is very, very exciting, and I'm sure you all do too. So if you like this video, leave a like. Bye bye.